All right, sir, if I can't get you on camera, you're not here.
I'm doing so right now. I am exempt from these rules and regulations. I motion and move this court to dismiss this case. I am sui juris in proper persona and propria persona.
Mr.
All right, everyone, today we got quite the showdown, a self-proclaimed sovereign citizen facing off against Judge Webster. And let me tell you, Judge Webster doesn't hold back. This guy gets completely shut down. The sovereign citizen is in court for the classic trifecta: no driver's license, no insurance, and no registration. You already know this is going to be a train wreck, but trust me, you've got to see it to believe it. This guy is putting on a performance that makes you question whether he's completely out of touch with reality or just playing a character. It's wild. How do people like this even convince themselves they can win in court? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. As you watch, do you think this guy is genuinely disconnected from reality, or is he just your typical sovereign citizen? Let's dive in and see how this plays out. It's going to be one for the books.
State of Kansas versus Anthony Edward Dubus. Jared Regier for the state. Is Mr. Dubus present? Anthony Dubus?
I am Anthony Edward Dubus. Dubus is the English pronunciation. Dubus is the original French. And I am appearing specially in propria persona, not pro se, as sui juris.
Okay, first of all, I can't see you, so you're not here.
Parent satisfied?
Thank you, sir. Now,
absolutely.
As far as I need to go, well, I need you back here in person.
Okay, well, it's propria persona, not in person. I'm not the legal entity that you're claiming me to be.
All right, sir, if I can't get you on camera, you're not here.
I'm doing so right now. I'm just removing it as a cape. It takes a while.
Now, the second order of business, let's get your name straight. I know a family with the same exact spelling in America, and they do pronounce it Dubus, but you said you pronounce it
Dubus, as the original Dubus, as the original French. Yep.
Very well, Dubus.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Mr. Dubus appears in person and pro se.
Correction, propria persona.
Well, in this court, it's in person, and
correction, in all courts, it may be either pro se, either appear in person, or propria persona.
Well, in my years of law school and nearly 40 years of practice, both as an attorney and a judge, it's been in person, and that's what I'm going with, sir. I believe that is just fine. So, in any event, we will proceed with your charges. In count one, sir, you're charged with operating a motor vehicle on a highway of this state without having a valid driver's license, pursuant to KSA 8-235A. In count two, it is alleged that on or about the 17th day of August, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, you did then and there unlawfully operate or attempt to operate a motor vehicle, to wit, a 2003 Honda Accord, upon a highway of the state, to wit, 1700 block of East Foxdale Street, Andover, Butler County, Kansas, while the vehicle was not registered in violation of KSA 8-142. In count three, it is alleged that on or about the 17th day of August, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, Anthony Edward Dubus,
Thank you, Mara.
unlawfully and intentionally drive a motor vehicle upon a public highway or property open to use by the public and failed to provide proof of insurance upon demand by a law enforcement officer. Now, sir, if you had insurance when you were stopped but just didn't have it with you or couldn't find it quickly, just provide proof to the county attorney and they'll most likely dismiss that charge. But if you really didn't have insurance, you're looking at a Class B non-person misdemeanor. The law does require a minimum fine if you're convicted of $300 up to 1,000, and it does have a possible jail sentence up to 6 months. Those are the charges.
This is honestly hilarious. Just by looking at the charges, you can already tell this guy is a sovereign citizen, no license, no insurance, and no registration. At this point, it's like they wake up every morning and decide to make life as difficult as possible for themselves. I really don't understand why these people refuse to follow the most basic laws. It's not some grand government conspiracy. It's just common. Since you can drive without a license and you can own a car without registering it. The Supreme Court has even confirmed that states have the right to require these things to keep roads safe. But no, they think they've discovered some secret life hack, and the rest of us are just blind followers. Honestly, though I feel like part of the problem might be the school system. Don't get me wrong, I know it's not the only issue, but from elementary to high school, we spend years learning stuff we'll probably never use did they ever bother teaching us basic laws. I can't remember a single class that explain what our rights actually are or what laws we need to follow. As adults, maybe I'm wrong. It's been a while since I was in school, but I don't think I am. Let me know if you guys disagree with me on that. All right, let's dive back in and see how this plays out. It's too good to miss.
You do have the right to an attorney. You can hire any attorney of your choice, but if you cannot afford an attorney, you can apply and see if you qualify for a court-appointed attorney. You don't have to have an attorney, though. You can waive your right to an attorney and represent yourself. So that's an order of business we need to take care of today, is whether you want an attorney or not. And then another is to make sure that you understand what the charges are and the possible penalties. Do you have any questions for me about that?
Yeah, I don't understand the nature and cause of the charges. I have not had my accuser face me to bring the charges against me, as is a violation of due process. And I want to correct, for the record of the court, the named defendant is different than the named person, being myself. Hold on, let me make sure I get that in view of the camera. The named person here is different than the one named in the charges and the counts, being a difference of representation of who exactly it is the charges are against. And it is to my belief and knowledge that per KAR 8243 subsection A, exemption from the motor carrier safety regulations, A, the occasional transportation of personal property by private motor carriers that is not for compensation and is not in the furtherance of a commercial enterprise. I am exempt from these rules and regulations, and if I need to get a USDOT number to show that I was not operating a commercial motor vehicle or as a common carrier for business or for profit or in the furtherance of a commercial enterprise, I will be more than happy to produce that USDOT number to show that I am in fact a private motor carrier, not operating in commerce, not driving, as I'm merely transporting and traveling.
Mr. DuBois, you are not charged under the Uniform Commercial Carriers Code as adopted by the state of Kansas. You are charged just as a motorist operating a motor vehicle. Again, not a commercial vehicle. These are not laws that are subject to the commercial code or to the administrative regulation that you referred.
Although you mentioned the word operating. Operating is a term used for the furtherance of a commercial enterprise, or driving, operating, the physical use or furtherance of for-profit business or for compensation.
It may under the commercial code, but not under the code otherwise.
It is under Kansas, correct?
It is not under Chapter 8 of the Kansas statutes or Chapter 40, which you're filed under. But we can address that at a later date at a trial or a motions hearing if necessary. But I do not see the statutory language that you're addressing being applicable to these statutes, at least preliminarily at this hearing.
It is within. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's my ruling there. And then on the name issue, I am not tracking you there. The only difference I see is that at the top of the document, state of Kansas and your name are capitalized, and in the initial or in the individual charges, it's traditional capital letter of the first name, all lowercase of the remaining names throughout. So I'm not following that argument. Again, if you want to readdress that at a later date, we can, but I'm just not seeing that argument.
Okay.
Now then.
I motion and move this court to dis.
It's honestly hilarious watching the sovereign citizen read off his little cheat sheet like he's got some foolproof plan to win. I'm completely baffled by how these people think. What's even the end goal here? They go out buy a car, and for some reason decide they don't need a license, and they waltz in the court claiming the court has no jurisdiction over them, even though they're literally standing asterisk and asterisk the court, and to top it off they bring up these made up laws and somehow think they're right. It's got to be some kind of mental illness. I've been saying this since day one, no matter how brainwashed you are. I don't think you could get this far without something being seriously off. It just makes zero, since there's literally no winning for them in this situation at this point. It would honestly be easier to sell the car hop in an Uber or take public transportation. It's way less stress than dealing with all these fake legal arguments. I seriously don't get it. If someone can explain this to me in the comments, please do, because I'm losing brain SS by the second just watching this. Let's keep going. This is too wild to miss.
For the motion I have filed, and for the brief in support of motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction.
Sir, I do not have any such motion or brief in support. Mr. Regier, have you received any such documents?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor, and so I fail to see, at least at this juncture, how such a motion is properly brought before the court, unless the court is aware of something that I am not aware of.
Well, that's what I'm trying to decide, if it's properly before the court. Mr. Dubois, who did you file the motion and brief with?
Well, seeing as your guys' e-file is down for what is it? It's called a ransom malware or something. I cannot e-file.
Right,
so
but you can mail it, or you can walk it into the clerk of the court. Have you done that?
Yes, I've mailed it. By email, which a court.
I'm sorry, when I
could.
Okay, go ahead, please. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. It was by email, which the court clerk said I could, considering the e-file was down. And I can't really go 20-something miles to do that, considering my personal property was stolen.
When did you email it, sir? When did you email it?
A while ago.
Judge.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do not accept emailed filings, only faxed or by mail or person.
Okay, I was told that they do not have fax, so I could not do that. So email would be okay.
He may have called the wrong courthouse then.
They spent 10 minutes finding my case because your guys' system was down. So I'm fairly certain it was the correct one.
Okay. Do you recall which you filed or which court you called?
Let me go to my sent. tstafford@bucokansas.com.
I think that might be at the county courthouse, not the district courthouse.
Okay. So if you want to file something, sir, let's make sure you file it in a fashion that will get it officially recognized. So, Ashley, how do you suggest he file motions and the like?
He will either need to mail us a copy of it or he can fax file.
And is your guys' fax active?
Yes, that has been the whole time.
I love how the court clerk is giving this guy some serious attitude right now. You can tell he's probably wishing he had a lawyer. But honestly, I feel like this might have been part of his plan all along. There's no way he accidentally didn't send his motions. It's pretty clear this guy has no idea how to file one properly. And let's be real, if you're filing motions, in court you have to follow some strict rules. Everyone knows that, but I really feel like this guy is just trying to delay his case then. Again, it's not that hard to send something to the right email address, even though they don't accept filings through email. You think if you're going to mess up, he'd at least send it to the correct email. It's honestly a shady move, but I wouldn't expect anything less from a sovereign citizen. What do you guys think? So far, let me know in the comments. This is getting more ridiculous by the minute.
Okay,
It's
and
not effective, yes.
what's the fax number?
Our fax number is 316-321-9486.
Okay, and my honor, I have one last question. For the nature and cause of these charges, is it a criminal or is it a civil matter?
This is a criminal matter.
Okay, as is a criminal matter, there are two jurisdictions which I may be tried. One is the common law, and the other is a military tribunal. Which of those two do you intend to try me in?
I intend to try you in this one, sir.
Which is this one? Please elaborate.
The criminal one.
Well, criminal has two jurisdictions. It is either the common law or it is the military tribunal.
Well, sir, we're not going to go into that at this point.
Are you refusing to acknowledge to me and tell me the nature and cause of the charges?
I have told you the nature and the cause of the charges.
You are not elaborating.
I think the remaining issue, sir, is whether you're going to hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent yourself.
My honor, I need to know whether or not this is going to be in the common law or a military tribunal.
Well, I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you going to hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent yourself, sir?
Again, I'm not representing myself. I am sui juris in proper persona, or propria persona.
So you're not going to have an attorney, or are you?
No, I'm not going to be presented or re-presented by any British agent, registrant, or anybody else to be a ward of the state. I'm standing on my rights, and I do not abrogate them. And if you're going to continue to move this court without any sort of evidence, well, I guess I'll have to file that. But
We're going to set your hearing. How do you want to plead to the charges first? Then, if you don't want to have an attorney, how do you want to plead to no valid driver's license?
My honor, are you attempting to administer the trust without permission and consent?
I'm asking you for your response. I'm giving you the chance to respond. Do you want to plead to this charge or not?
My honor, I don't make any pleas, as I am appearing in propria persona, and any plea would submit jurisdiction to the court. I am here challenging jurisdiction under the common law, as I am owed the law of peace. And this is a fraud action.
The only fraud happening right now is this guy is literally reading off some Facebook script he probably got from some random self-proclaimed legal expert in the sovereign citizen community. It's so obvious. And honestly, it's beyond ridiculous these sovereign citizens had this bizarre obsession with trying to force the judge to declare whether the case is under common law, military law, or whatever other imagined legal system they've cooked. up in their heads, here's a news flash for this guy Courts. Don't work like that. A judge isn't going to stop the entire proceeding just to explain what type of law they're operating under. It's already established by the system. Sure, common law is part of it. But there's a whole framework of statutes, case law, and regulations that govern everything. These people act like they can twist the system into something it's not. But the judge is just sitting there like, yeah, nice try. It's honestly like watching someone argue with a brick. Wall, do you guys think this guy has any chance of winning with these tactics? Let me know your thoughts. This is too wild to miss. Let's dive back in.
As fraud in the inducement from the beginning, under due process violations from Deputy Khalid Barake and the other officers or sheriffs that were on scene. And if you are attempting to administer the trust without consent of myself, the living man, the grantor, in common law, which is above Admiralty Maritime Law, then you will be in violation of Article 3, Section 2, the trial of all crimes, except in case of impeachment, shall be jury, and such trial shall be held in a state where said crime shall have been committed, but when they are not committed with any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. And as there is a difference between the Republic State Kansas before the state of Kansas was brought into the Federation of the Union of States. And you will also be in violation of I'm getting it real quick. 18 U.S. Code Sections 2381, treason. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States, the corporation, not United States of America or for America, levies war against them or adheres to the enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason and shall suffer death or shall be imprisoned not less than 5 years and fined under this title, but not less than $10,000, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. Now, I, Anthony Edward Dubus, the proper case trade name, not the all caps legal entity of which you're attempting to administer the trust of, am an American state national, a Kansas state national per 8 USC 1101 subsection 21, and is recognized by the Kansas Human Rights Commission as I have dealings with them going over my nationality in regards to a corporation in which I have a complaint filed against, has already been refused mediation by the company, and is being investigated by Barbara Carper, the special investigator of Kansas Human Rights Commission, over my case specifically. And if you're attempting to move this case against myself, you are in violation of executing law rather than just judging on it. Which, if I need to pull up that statute
Sir, do you,
case as well.
sir, do you still have the same phone number you had posted on your bond that you have with AAA Butler County Bail Bonds? Is that still your current phone number?
My Honor, Mrs.
316-252?
My Honor, Webster, it is, you may call me either Anthony Dubus or Anthony Edward Dubus. I do not accept the term sir.
Very
Although,
well.
yes, my phone number is still the same at 316-252-9724.
All right. And is your address, okay. Address's iPhone needs to be locked. Mr. Dubois, is your address still homeless, or do you have something more specific at this time?
The judge really hit him with your homeless card outs that had to sting. But honestly, what's catching my attention the most in this whole case is how this guy keeps referring to the judge as my honor instead of correct your honor. I mean, come on, that's like Courtroom 100. And one, it's such a small detail, but it speaks volumes calling the judge your honor. Is about showing respect for their role and the authority they hold in the legal system. But this guy, he's out here saying my honor like they're old pals or something new / that's not how this works. Every time he says that he's just digging himself deeper into a hole. And at this rate, he's not climbing out anytime soon. Honestly, maybe he should be focusing less on arguing with a judge and more on finding himself a stable place to live priorities, right? But what do you all think about this situation? So far, let me know your take.
They refuse to put down my address. I am within Wichita, Kansas, rural free delivery, within the 4-corner rule 67202, aka the brackets around 67202, and they refused to put down my rural free delivery address and put me as homeless instead because they could not accept it. They refused. Also, Deputy Khalid Barake, when I was taken to Butler County Detention Center, refused that there were any magistrates at all within any of the courts, which per due process of common law, I was to be taken before a magistrate or a tribunal, both judicial, either Article 3 or 4, in front of a magistrate judge to be decided whether or not I was even within the jurisdiction to be tried for these charges or commercial crimes.
Your next court date will be 2 weeks from Monday. What do you have, Ashley? 2 weeks from this past Monday. What is it?
I believe that is going to be Monday the 18th.
All right. Mr. Dubois, your next court date is December 18th at 8 a.m. by Zoom. You can always appear in the courthouse personally if you like. I am appointing Attorney Darren Patterson. Now, if you don't want to use him,
I do not accept any appointment of any attorney.
But I show that you don't have a specific residence. Do you have a job, employment?
I did, and then these actions against myself from the state of Kansas caused me not to have it anymore.
In this court's opinion, mixed federal law and state law and other sources of law that don't all go together.
May I elaborate?
Want him to be available to you. I think we have exhausted this particular hearing, the purpose of which is merely to make sure you know what the charges are, the possible penalties, and your rights that I have gone over with you, including your right to counsel, which I'm hearing you say you don't wish to utilize. But nevertheless, I'm going to direct Mr. Patterson to at least be available to you, that you be here again December 18th at 8 a.m. by Zoom, and I'm going to continue your bond until that date and time. So anything else, Mr. Anthony Edward Dubois, please take that up. Honor. Thank you. Please take that up at the next hearing after you've had time to talk to Mr. Patterson.
Okay. My final thing I want to say is I'm already filing Kansas Commission on Judicial Conduct complaint against a judge. And that would be the prior judge, Mr. Mr. Lee, I believe. And I will be adding you to the complaint as well, as you are violating my due process right. And
you know, it's always the same old song and dance with these sovereign citizen types, isn't it? They march into court, spout their pseudo-legal jargon, and then without fail in the hearing by threatening the judge classic move, right? Like, do they honestly think that's going to intimidate the judge into backing down or handing them some kind of special treatment? Newsflash, it never works, never. But here's this guy unemployed, homeless, and arguing in court over something as basic as a DRI's license. I mean, come on, bro, just get the license and move on with your life. It's not rocket science, yet here he is turning what should be a straightforward process into a full-blown circus. And let's be real, this whole situation screams of that victim mentality that's getting worse by the day. He's sitting there pointing fingers at everyone, especially the state of Kansas, for its homelessness and unemployment. Like, okay, I get it, life's tough, but at some point, you've got to take responsibility for your own choices. You can't just blame the world for your problems and expect everything to magically fall into place. Again, the world doesn't work that way. We've all got struggles, but that doesn't mean you get to skip out on basic responsibilities or invent your own set of rules just because things aren't going your way.